BYD just solved the two problems that killed sodium batteries for a decade, and the fix comes with zero lithium, zero cobalt, zero nickel, and a 10,000 cycle lifespan. Your Tesla's battery starts fading around cycle 2000. Do that math. But here's the twist almost nobody caught. BYD isn't racing this into a car first. It's aiming the whole thing at something bigger than Tesla's cars, Tesla's other business. I'll show you which one. Subscribe so you catch breakthroughs like this before the headlines catch up. Here's why this matters to you. Lithium is the reason your EV battery costs what it costs, and it's the reason it eventually dies. Every lithium-ion cell, whether it's in your Tesla, your phone, or a grid-scale storage farm, is built around a metal that has to be mined, refined, and shipped from a small handful of countries, and every cycle of charging and discharging slowly wears the chemistry down. Sodium sits right next to lithium on the periodic table and does almost the same job, at a fraction of the cost. Because sodium carbonate runs around 0.05 a kilogram compared to roughly $15 a kilogram for lithium carbonate. The problem, for over a decade, was that sodium batteries just weren't good enough. Lower energy density, instability at high temperatures, sodium buildup inside the cell that degraded performance over time. That's why the entire industry filed sodium-ion under interesting someday and moved on. BYD didn't move on. In a late-night investor filing, the company disclosed that its sodium-ion research has reached its third-generation polyanion platform and said it has specifically fixed the sodium precipitation issue and the high-temperature instability that kept earlier sodium cells out of real products. That's not a marketing slogan. That's an engineering team saying, on the record to investors, that the two specific failure modes holding this chemistry back are solved. But here's the part I've been holding back. The number that actually explains why this matters more than a single new car battery would. Most of the industry, including BYD's biggest rival CATL, is racing sodium-ion straight into passenger cars. CATL just partnered with Chang'an to put a 45 kilowatt-hour sodium pack into a mass-produced passenger vehicle, launching in mid-2026. BYD looked at that same technology and pointed it somewhere else entirely, the electricity grid. The company is targeting a manufacturing cost of just 0.3 yuan per watt-hour, about 4 cents, for grid-scale storage by 2027, built around a heavy-duty 189 amp-hour cell, designed to run for roughly 33 years under standard power distribution cycling. While everyone else is fighting over who puts sodium in the next city car, BYD is quietly trying to become the company that reduces the cost of storing electricity itself. That's a very different bet, and it's the one that should actually worry Tesla. Because Tesla isn't just a car company anymore. Its Megapack grid storage business has become one of its fastest growing divisions, and grid storage runs on exactly the metric BYD just targeted, cost per kilowatt hour and cycle life, not top speed or 0 to 60. A battery chemistry with no lithium, no cobalt, no nickel, a 10,000 cycle lifespan, and a manufacturing cost heading toward 4 cents a watt-hour doesn't need to beat a Tesla on a racetrack. It needs to beat a Megapack on a spreadsheet, and that's a fight Tesla can't win by building a faster car. And BYD isn't stopping at sodium. In that same disclosure, the company confirmed it's running a second, completely separate battery program, a sulfide-based solid-state battery, which it expects to reach small-scale production by 2027. Out of the three main technical approaches to solid-state chemistry, oxide, polymer, and sulfide is generally considered the hardest to manufacture and the most promising once it works, because it combines high energy density with genuine fire resistance. So BYD is running two battery revolutions in parallel: sodium to gut, the cost of storing energy at grid scale, and solid-state sulfide to push the energy density and safety of the batteries that actually go in your car. Most automakers are still trying to get one next-generation battery chemistry to work. BYD's investor filing describes two moving at the same time, aimed at two different problems. Here's the scale that makes this more than a lab announcement. BYD already broke ground on a 30 gigawatt-hour sodium-ion factory in Suzhou, running in partnership with electric two- and three-wheeler maker Huaihai. And current output from that facility is already producing cells in the 105 to 130 watt-hour per kilogram range. That's below where lithium-ion sits today, which is exactly why BYD isn't rushing it into a flagship car. It's putting the first generation of output into the applications, like grid storage and light electric vehicles, where the cost advantage matters more than squeezing every last mile of range out of the pack. That's not a company that stumbled into a headline. That's a company sequencing a rollout. Compare that sequencing to how most Western automakers and battery makers have approached a next-generation chemistry. The usual playbook is to chase the flagship application first, put the new chemistry in the Halo product, generate headlines, and figure out cost scaling later. BYD flipped it that order. It's letting the least glamorous, least visible part of the business, delivery scooters and grid substations, absorb the early lower density output while the manufacturing process matures, and saving the flashier passenger car rollout for once the chemistry has actually earned its place there. It's a slower story to tell in a headline, but it's a much harder position for a competitor to catch up to, because by the time sodium is good enough for a sedan, BYD will already have years of real-world production data that nobody else in the industry has. None of this means your next Tesla suddenly runs on salt water. BYD itself says mass production timing for the sodium platform depends on market and customer demand. An industry-wide cost parity between scaled sodium production and today's lithium iron phosphate lines isn't expected to fully arrive until 2027, according to projections from Minmetals Securities. Energy density remains sodium's real ceiling. Nobody's putting a 400-mile sedan on a sodium pack anytime soon, and most industry analysts still expect sodium to capture a meaningful slice of the storage and budget EV market, rather than replace premium lithium chemistry outright. But look at what BYD actually did while everyone was watching CATL launch a flashier passenger car headline. It quietly fixed the two technical problems that kept sodium out of production for a decade. It pointed the technology at the part of the energy business Tesla is betting its future on, and it kept a second, harder battery chemistry running in parallel behind it. That's not one battery wiping the floor with one car. That's a company positioning itself to undercut Tesla on the metric that will matter most once EVs stop being the only story in the room. So while the headlines keep asking which company builds the flashiest EV battery, BYD just told its own investors it's building the cheapest one, at a scale nobody else in the room is matching. Now you know before most people will. If this breakdown was worth your time, hit that thumbs up. Share it with someone who thinks Tesla's biggest threat is still just another car. And subscribe so you don't miss what BYD's solid-state program reveals next. Real question for the comments. If grid batteries get this cheap, does that change how fast your own country switches to renewable power? Tell me below.